In the landscape of DC Comics, certain characters stand as symbols of ingenuity and moral conviction, and Nite Owl is one of them. Emerging from the pages of Watchmen, the critically acclaimed 1986 limited series by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, Nite Owl is steeped in layered history, rooted in both the classic superhero tradition and a darker, more grounded reinterpretation of costumed vigilantes. While Watchmen exists in its own distinct continuity separate from DC's primary universe, the impact of Nite Owl as a concept has resonated deeply, influencing generations of comic readers and creators. Nite Owl is a mantle taken up by two men over the course of the Watchmen narrative. The first, Hollis Mason, debuted in 1938 within the fictional history of the story. A New York City police officer disillusioned with corruption and the limits of the law, Mason was inspired by the surge of masked adventurers in pulp magazines and comic books. Crafting a simple owl-themed costume and relying on physical strength, determination, and a strong moral compass, Mason became the original Nite Owl. His career as a costumed hero spanned the era of the Minutemen, a team of vigilantes who patrolled during the late 1930s and 1940s. Eventually, Mason retired in 1947, writing a memoir titled Under the Hood that documented his life and the early history of masked crime fighters in his world. The mantle of Nite Owl later passed to Daniel Dreiberg, a brilliant and introverted inventor who idolized Mason. Dreiberg brought a new level of sophistication to the role, blending heroics with technological innovation. Much like Batman, he had no superhuman abilities, instead relying on advanced gadgets, body armor, and his customized airship, Archie. His approach to crime fighting was methodical and precise, his demeanor reserved yet deeply principled. Dreiberg's tenure as Nite Owl unfolded during the rise of the Watchmen in the 1960s, but this era of masked vigilantes came to an end when the Keene Act outlawed unsanctioned heroes in 1977. Forced into retirement, Dreiberg struggled with a loss of purpose until the events of Watchmen pulled him back into action alongside Rorschach, Silk Spectre, Dr. Manhattan, and Ozymandias. The design and personality of Nite Owl were deliberate nods to superhero archetypes while simultaneously deconstructing them. Hollis Mason embodied the optimism and civic-minded heroism of the Golden Age, while Daniel Dreiberg represented a more modern, self-reflective figure, one driven by intellect, curiosity, and a longing for meaning. Within Watchmen, Nite Owl was modeled in part after the Charlton Comics character Blue Beetle, particularly the Ted Kord incarnation whose rights DC had acquired. Moore and Gibbons reimagined him to fit the gritty, morally complex tone of Watchmen, merging classic crime fighter imagery with emotional vulnerability and a focus on psychological realism. Nite Owl's legacy is defined by duality, both a tribute to and a critique of the superhero genre. The two men who wore the mantle reflected different eras of heroism, each shaped by the moral and social climates of their times. Hollis Mason's Nite Owl was the embodiment of hope and civic duty, while Daniel Dreiberg's was driven by fascination, invention, and a search for personal redemption. His arc in Watchmen echoed the series' broader themes: the nature of heroism, the corruption of ideals, and the personal cost of living behind a mask. Though Watchmen was originally intended as a self-contained story, Nite Owl's world expanded in works like Before Watchmen Nite Owl, 2012, which explored Dreiberg's early career and his mentorship under Mason. In 2017, DC's Doomsday Clock integrated aspects of the Watchmen universe into the broader DC continuity, subtly affirming Nite Owl's place in the company's wider mythos. Today, Nite Owl remains one of the most compelling figures to emerge from the Watchmen saga, bridging the gap between nostalgic heroics and the morally complex narratives of modern comics. Whether remembered as Hollis Mason's grounded crusader or Daniel Dreiberg's tech-savvy avenger, Nite Owl stands as a watchful guardian in the shadows, an enduring symbol of justice, intellect, and the enduring weight of the mask.